All right, hello and good morning, everyone. Today we're talking about types of sampling and then what it means to have a biased versus an unbiased sample. A couple of definitions to start. A population is a group of people or objects that you want information about. And when it's too difficult or time consuming or expensive to survey every single person or every element in a population, you can take a sample or a subset of that population. And we're going to start by looking at 4 different methods of sampling. The first one is called self-selected. That means that members of a population can volunteer to be in that sample, so it's up to them. The second one is called a systematic sample. That's exactly what it sounds like. There's a system by which they're using to find this sample. In other words, you use a rule to select the members of a population. The third one is a convenience sample. That means that the people are just easy to reach. And the fourth one is called random, and that's exactly what you would think. Again, that just means that every single member has an equal chance to be selected for this sample. So for our first example, we're going through 4 things. A manufacturer wants to sample the parts from a production line for defects. Identify the type of sample described. So we're looking at 4 different ones. We're going to classify each one. For the first one, the manufacturer has every 5th item on the production line tested for defects. Well, every 5th item means that we have a rule that we're going against. So if we go back and look at our different types of samples, when we use a rule, that's called systematic. This is systematic. The second one, the manufacturer has the first 50 items on the production line tested. The first 50 are probably the easiest to get to, or easy to reach, so we're going to call that one convenience sample. The third one, the computer selects different numbered items to check. The key here is that it's the computer doing it. Usually if we get a computer involved, that means that this is going to be random, because that's the best way to get a random sample. So this one we'll call random. It means each item has the same chance to be selected. And then lastly, the manufacturer suggests to its employees on the production line to test for defects, but it's not a requirement. Because it's up to the employee's discretion and they can volunteer to test their items, we're going to call this one self-selected. My pen is being finicky. All right. Second example. Suppose that Union School District is facing a budget cut. You decide to survey the cheerleaders and the football players to find out whether either the fine arts program or the sports program should be cut. Would this be a good survey? Why or why not? Well, no, this doesn't seem fair, really. It doesn't seem fair to talk to just the cheerleaders and football players, those in sports, to be deciding something about the fine arts program or the sports program. So it doesn't seem like you'd really get an accurate response. Goodness. The response would not be accurate or fair, you could say. Which leads us to the next point. In order to draw accurate conclusions or fair conclusions about a population from a sample, you should select an unbiased sample. So unbiased means that this is representative of the population, whereas a biased sample either overrepresents or underrepresents the population in some way. So by asking the cheerleaders and the football players something, that's overrepresenting, that's biased towards the sports people. All right, example 3. A health and fitness magazine asks its readers to voluntarily send in their response to several questions regarding healthy eating. Identify the type of sample described and whether or not the sample is biased. So, the type of sample, well, if the readers are voluntarily sending in responses, this is self-selected because they can choose, they can choose whether or not to be a part of that. And then whether or not it's biased or unbiased, well, if it's health and fitness magazine readers, they probably are going to have some biased answers talking about healthy eating. So yeah, this is going to be biased. Number 4. A computer science teacher wants to know if students would like the morning announcements posted on the school's website. He surveys students in one of his computer science classes. Identify the type of sample and whether or not it's biased. All right, it's a computer science teacher and he's surveying those in his computer science class. So that's probably the easiest thing for him to do is just grab all the students in one of his classes. So these are easy to reach members, which we call a convenience sample. And is it biased or unbiased? Well, if they're talking about having the morning announcements on a school website, that's probably something that computer science students are going to be for. And therefore, that would be a biased sample. All right, what type of sampling gives you the best unbiased sample? In other words, what represents a population the best? This is going to be random. Random sampling will not be biased. You are a member of the prom committee. You want to poll the members of the senior class to find out where they want to hold prom. There are 324 students in the senior class. Describe a method for selecting a random sample of 40 of those 324 seniors to poll. Again, the best type of sampling is going to be random here. So one suggestion would be to use a computer, or there's actually a function on your calculator that will give you a random number generator. To randomly select 40 out of the 324. So in other words, you could give every single student a number, 1 through 324, and then have a computer or a calculator randomly select 40 of those. All right, that concludes the video. Go ahead and check Canvas or your teacher's website to figure out what the assignment is for today.